Imagine this. You go to the bank, like always, maybe to check your balance or make a transfer. Everything seems normal, but then they tell you something strange. There's a credit card in your name, a loan, an account. You never asked for any of it. And when you check, it's all there. Your name, your address. But you never signed anything. This isn't a movie. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's what happened to millions of people in the United States. And it all started inside one of the most famous banks in the world, Wells Fargo. This is the true story of one of the biggest banking scandals of recent decades. For years, Wells Fargo was the symbol of financial strength. It survived crises, mergers, and earned the trust of millions of clients. Its motto said it all. Together we'll go far. A promise of progress. Together. A warm, almost family-like message. But no one imagined that behind that friendly image of trust, a massive and cynical corporate fraud was growing from within. A culture where the client wasn't a person, just a number, and where employees lived under pressure few could endure. The orders were clear. Sell more. Always more. No excuses, no limits, no rest. Just sell. The targets were so high that failing to meet them meant only one thing: losing your job. And when selling becomes a matter of survival, even the most honest people can cross the line. What began as a simple internal incentive would end up becoming one of the greatest banking scandals in modern history. Chapter 1. Internal pressure. Inside Wells Fargo, the atmosphere was nothing like the image they projected to the public. Every day started with a new goal, and not just any goal, an impossible one, rising week after week. The bank's culture revolved around one word: sell. If you helped a client, it wasn't enough. You had to offer something else: a new account, a card, insurance, a loan. The internal motto said it all. 8 is great. Every customer had to own at least 8 financial products. It wasn't a suggestion, it was an order. And if you didn't meet your numbers, it didn't matter how long you'd been there. It didn't matter if you were kind, honest, or efficient. You were out. Fear took over every branch. Anxiety became part of the uniform. Day after day, employees were pushed to find new ways to sell more at any cost. And that's when many crossed the line. Some started forging signatures. Others opened accounts without telling the clients. Some even used personal information from trusting people, like you, like me, just to fill their quotas. They weren't criminals. They were ordinary people trapped in a system that rewarded abuse and punished integrity. And the result? A snowball that soon became impossible to hide. Chapter 2. The scandal explodes. In September 2016, after years of internal complaints, silent investigations, and closed doors, the truth came out. U.S. federal regulators confirmed what millions of customers suspected but couldn't prove. Wells Fargo had opened more than 2 million unauthorized accounts. The news shook the financial world. The bank was fined $185 million. It made front-page headlines around the globe. And the CEO, John Stumpf, was summoned to testify before Congress. He was forced to resign. The bank's stock plunged. Thousands of employees were fired. But here's the most outrageous part. Many of those who lost their jobs weren't the ones responsible. They were low-level employees, simply following orders from above. Meanwhile, the real architects of this toxic culture walked away with million-dollar bonuses. The message was clear. If the system works, even if it's unjust, no one stops it. What began as an aggressive sales policy turned into a system that stole identities, ruined lives, and destroyed public trust. And when everything collapsed, one question was impossible to ignore. How many knew what was happening and stayed silent? Chapter 3. Why no one stopped it. How could a fraud like this go on for so long without anyone stopping it? Inside Wells Fargo, many knew. It wasn't a secret. It was the system itself, and everyone was trapped inside it. Some employees did speak up. They went to HR, talked to their supervisors, sent emails, documented everything. And what did they get in return? Fired, threatened, transferred, even discredited internally. The message was loud and clear. Stay quiet, or you'll be next. Imagine going to work knowing that if you do the right thing, you could lose everything. Your salary, your health, your stability, your career. That's how silence is created. That's how impunity is built. Wells Fargo didn't fail because of one mistake. It failed because for years, thousands saw the fire and couldn't put it out. Because the rules were made to punish truth and reward complicity. And by the time everything came to light, it was already too late. The damage was done, the victims numbered in the millions, and the system that allowed it was still standing. Chapter 4: The Real Consequences. When the scandal broke, Wells Fargo did what most giant corporations do when cornered. Apologize, announce reforms, promise change. But for millions of people, the apologies came too late. The bank paid massive fines. The first was $185 million. But over time, that figure grew to more than $5 billion in penalties, lawsuits, and settlements. They had to close thousands of accounts, refund customers, and rebuild their entire sales structure. The damage to their reputation was so deep that even years later, few truly trust them. And what about the victims? Many saw their credit ruined, their scores dropped, their applications were denied, and in some cases, their financial lives came to a complete stop. Employees who refused to take part in the fraud were also unjustly fired. Meanwhile, top executives left through the front door with golden parachutes and millions in bonuses. The message was devastating. Those who tried to do the right thing were punished. Those who played the game were rewarded. In theory, the bank changed. In practice, trust is not so easily rebuilt. Because when a bank breaks your trust, it's not just money that's lost. Final reflection. This story isn't just about fake bank accounts or billion-dollar fines. It's about something much deeper. Trust. When you walk into a bank, you trust. You trust that your money is safe, that your name won't be used without permission, that no one will betray you just to meet a quota. But Wells Fargo betrayed that trust of millions of people, of honest employees, of loyal customers. And the scariest part is that this case isn't unique. It's just one of the few that came to light. In many other banks, companies, and institutions, similar cultures still exist, hidden behind words like excellence and performance. So beyond blaming one bank, this story forces us to open our eyes, to question, to check, to never assume that a logo means trust. Imagine checking your account today and finding a loan you never requested. Imagine someone opened a credit card in your name. What would you do? Who would you blame? This story could happen to anyone. If this story made you think, if it opened your eyes, or simply made you reflect, leave a comment. Tell me if you've ever experienced something similar, or know someone who's faced financial abuse. And if you want to keep learning how the system really works, without lies, without filters, without sugarcoating, subscribe to Drakonomic. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We uncover truths, and believe me, there's still so much left to tell.